Welcome to Porch Lane in Hope. I'm about to do Hope Mountain again. I'll talk more about that in a sec. This is my first proper ride back, I guess, after my 3-week break. I've done some training rides and like less than 2-hour efforts and a bit of zone 1, zone 2 yesterday. But this is my first excursion into Wales in 3 weeks. I'm just happy to be back on my bike. It was being a little knob this morning, but never mind, it's all fixed now. Just as an update for anyone I've not told, the consultant I went to see did an exam on me. I'm trying not to be crude here because my normal way of talking about it is, you fondled my balls. I'll be professional. He did an exam and he said, everything feels healthy enough down there. It's clearly like a little bit inflamed still, so we've got a plan of attack for it, but he's not worried about me riding my bike. He said, be sensible and, you know, if it's really building up and causing you agony, stop. But you're not going to be doing any long-term damage if it's just a bit of discomfort and it's not getting worse. So he's happy for me to ride my bike within reason. So I'm back out here. I'm doing Hope Mountain because it's a fairly short effort. Expect my heart rate to be higher than my watts because, yeah, 3 weeks of detraining, my heart rate's been hitting 190 for the first time since I was about 17. And my wattages feel low. So, this ascent of Hope Mountain is the first one I'd ever done. Obviously it's a relatively innocuous residential road, just off the main road. It's quite a nice view behind me actually, isn't it, of Hope and Caergurley. This is where my club as a junior, Birkenhead North End, do their annual hill climb event, this road, and it's good because it's more quiet than some of the other ascents of Hope Mountain. It's about 1.3k and 11.5%, so it's not like a massively long hill, but it's pretty steep, 11.5%. I'm torn as to whether to take it from this corner. That's where the hill climb segment starts, because there's a little car park to the right so you can set up in there. But really, this is all the hill, isn't it? So maybe I should just start from the bottom, stop being a fanny. I'll tell you about my bike quickly. I've got new handlebars. What was wrong this morning is, after sorting my new handlebars, Deda Super Zeros, I'd clearly not quite firmly enough plugged in one of my shifters, so I had no gears, so I had to undo my bar tape and give it a really firm click in. Di2, yeah, as I say, I always say, it just works until it doesn't, and then and then nothing works. And that's why I've got one blue finishing tape and one black finishing tape. My front camera is also in a different position now. That's not going to be a crotch shot, but it's going to be. So we'll see how that looks on the video. I don't really know. Right, I'll stop waffling. 11.2% average, 1.2 kilometres long. That's the important stuff you need to know about this ascent of Hope Mountain, not all the rubbish I was just talking. As I said, the climb segment itself doesn't really start till I turn this corner up ahead of me, but it is a decent little lead in. I struggle with this route to remember the distribution of steep and shallower parts, and on the profile it didn't really look like there's too much variation, but when you ride it, it really feels like there is. So you turn this right-hander and the road just rears up ahead of you. This part is the steepest part of the whole climb, with the benefit of being the crappiest bit of road. This part of road is always wet all year round, no matter what. I've never ridden it dry, which is a bit weird. I don't know why that's the case. And then, yeah, you turn this corner again. The steep continues for a little while longer, hence I'm putting out well over 400 watts to get over it. And then it becomes a more standard climb, I guess like 10% average probably from this point on. I apologise for my front camera. I have to mount it this way because you can't fit the standard handlebar mount on arrow-shaped handlebars. It's vibrating far more than I wanted. I'll have to try and do something about it, but for now, this is what I've got, so I apologise. Your vision's not going blurry. It is in fact the vibration. Luckily, after that corner, where it was horrible, covered in debris, the road becomes a little bit smoother. There is still crap all over it, but it's much easier to get around this kind of rubbish. But it takes a lot of focus. Like all the ascents of Hope Mountain, these are not busy roads. These are, well, I guess like residential and farm access. The few people who live up here use them, and farmers use them, maybe a couple of dog walkers who want to get to the top, but otherwise pretty quiet. So the roads do get covered in crap and, well, nice lush woodland, so whilst that's lovely to ride through, doesn't do much for the road surface. I was just aiming on this to be doing over my original threshold. I know that sounds like a weird thing to do, say, well, 4 weeks ago my threshold was probably 340, so I want to do over 340, but I knew this was only going to be a 6-minute effort, maybe, so if I'm holding my previous threshold or higher, then I'm pretty content with that as a reintroduction. My heart rate wasn't as high as I expected. I never watch heart rate during the climb, I just kind of check power every now and then, but on this one I wasn't even really checking power, because it doesn't matter what power I can do at the moment. I needed it to be a squeeze it all out effort to try and make myself feel like I'd done some good training, but it didn't need to be a prescribed power training at this point. I've just hit a little section of downhill, and there's obviously a lag with my metrics, but my power will drop way down, and I did treat myself to some recovery. I tried to get my speed up a little bit and treat myself to some recovery. I'm an absolute idiot. I knew that out the saddle would not work. This road's too steep and too crap surface for out the saddle to work, and yet I kept doing it. I decided I'd rather ride out the saddle with wheel spin than seated, which is an absolutely ludicrous decision. A ludicrous decision indeed. So I think from this point on, the road gets a little nicer. There's no tree cover to the right as you rise up a little bit more, and I always think this is nearly the top, and it isn't, as you can tell. I'm just beyond halfway, but this is where the mental battle comes to, well, just keep putting power out. This is where I really had to embrace the fact that my fitness is much lower than it was. My power was much down on where I would like it to be, but that's okay. I just need to keep doing whatever power I am capable of as I'm returning to fitness. When I did this as my club hill climb as a junior, this is where I started to catch the person in front of me, and I thought, maybe I'm alright at climbing hills. I didn't know that as a 17-year-old particularly. I had a slow puncture on my rear tyre, and at the top everyone was like, oh, well, that's why you did better than us, because you had more grip. And I thought, that's a bit mean, innit, to say that? I thought I'd just done well. Never mind. So as you can see, even though the profile did look pretty much consistent in gradient, there's definitely dips and steeper sections as you come around, and I was struggling at this point. I knew that there's one more properly steep bit to get to before the end, so I thought I'd better recover a little bit on that proper downhill, and now just send it. The most mild send it you've ever seen. That's right, my cadence varied from 40 to 110 there. The view behind is a bit disappointing as well, actually, because when you get properly to the top, it's very pretty. I think you can probably tell both by the way I'm commenting on it and just from the video that I don't think this is necessarily the most picturesque or the most exciting climb around, but it's nice. It's a nice challenge. It's a good quiet road. It's certainly hard. Hope Mountain will never particularly have a special place in my heart. I don't enjoy it. I do it on days when I don't think I've got the legs to get out to the proper hills for proper training, whether that's because I'm very fatigued, or in this case because I'm well out of shape after a rest, that sort of thing. That's when I do it. Or if I want to get to the proper hills with fatigue in my legs, I'll also come this way. You can see the road junction up ahead, just behind those walkers. That's where this segment finishes. There's my power output, 350 watt average I was really happy with. Unfortunately, I was down on my previous time by about 4 seconds, even though I'd done 10 watts more. And you can see Craig Rogers, who's the KOM holder, absolutely smashed me. So maybe I'm a bit heavier, I don't know. Down there, this is called the Park in the Past. And it's an old quarry that's been filled in, turned into like wild swimming, kayaking, nature trails, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. You have to pay to get in, which is bullshit because it's outdoors. But anyway, that was really hard. I'm trying to be kind to myself. Accept that the rule of thumb is if you've had 2 weeks off, it'll take you 2 weeks to get back to full health. It'll probably take me a bit longer because I'm not doing 100% of the training load I was. So it'll be 3.5, 4 weeks maybe. But I'm really struggling to not be frustrated knowing that I was really in the form of my life coming into this illness, and then I'm just so far behind where I was. And for nothing, because I'm not any better for the time off. That's the real kicker. I probably could have just kept riding. So the doctor says I can ride. I'm going to ride hard, and hopefully I'm going to get some power back. That was an okay effort though, wasn't it? It was not the day for that road. I know that road gets really dodgy, slippy. I forgot just how bad it gets, so I couldn't really get out the saddle at all. There were a couple of points where I was out the saddle and wheel slipping. Still, very nice. Nice to be back out on my bike. Nice day. Not as hot as yesterday. Last night was the first rain we've had in many weeks. That's why that road was quite so bad. Okay, on with the ride.